Hello and welcome back to The Vacant Light. Today, rather than giving you guys a review, I'm going to talk about some of the music that I've recently imported from Northern Heritage Records in Finland. This is not my full order, but this is what I have in so far, and I really do want to talk about it. If you're not familiar with Northern Heritage Records, Northern Heritage is basically a black metal record label that produces and helps bands produce some pretty fantastic traditional styled black metal releases and albums. So I definitely do enjoy their music. I've done one video in the past where I did talk about my previous import from the record label, and I really did enjoy the majority of the music I received in that import. So without further delay, let's talk about the music. This release here is Uncelestial's EP called Born with Lucifer's Mark. Uncelestial is an interesting band because earlier on in their career, they were known as Uncreation's Dawn, and since the release of this EP, they've actually changed their name back to that. But regardless, they're a black metal band that has some pretty aggressive tendencies, has a good sludgy tone, and does use some influences from death metal in their music. I have reviewed their second of two LPs, which is called Death's Tyranny, on this channel, so I have offered some opinions on their music in the past. So that's definitely around if you guys are interested in watching that. Regardless, I'm looking forward to this EP, which is, from what I know, the only real release that the band made with the title of Uncelestial before changing the name back to Uncreation's Dawn. Next, I've got some music here from Satanic Warmaster. On my last import video, I did import their Strength and Honor LP, which was the band's debut. And this one here, called Opferblut, is actually the band's second LP, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Satanic Warmaster is at this point a one-man band, as far as I know, that does embrace traditional black metal values, with a high focus on percussion in particular, which I quite enjoy, and has a different spin on it than, guitar and vocal-centric music. So I'm looking forward to listening to this because Strength and Honor was a great record. Similarly, what I have here is the split album between Satanic Warmaster and Clandestine Blaze. These are bands that I did import music from in the past in my previous video, and I do enjoy music from both bands. I own the first 5 LPs from Clandestine Blaze, and the 6th I'm still waiting for in the mail. And Satanic Warmaster's music, does follow a similar style to Clandestine Blaze to some extent, but there are different focuses in the instrumentation and some different thematic elements between the two bands. The other thing I'd like to mention is that what makes this split kind of interesting is that because each band only really has one member, they've actually, if I'm not mistaken, coordinated and actually played some songs together, which is a quite interesting and somewhat unique idea of something to do on a split album. So, despite some of the negative or mixed responses I've heard about this, I'm still very interested in listening to it. Next, I've got some material from Magua. Now, I've covered Magua's material to some extent in my video review of Crushing the Holy Trinity. They appear on the 3rd disc, which is called Holy Spirit. This album here is called With Hearts Toward None, and is their second of 2 LPs that they've released up to this point. This LP is from 2012, and is basically the follow-up to, if I'm not mistaken, an LP called Graza, which was released in 2008. Now, I don't own Graza yet, but it is coming in the mail, so hopefully I'll get to show you guys that soon. Regardless, Magua for me is like a hidden gem, and was the biggest surprise off of the Crushing the Holy Trinity release. It's a band that I wasn't too familiar with, but did wholeheartedly enjoy, with their combination of traditional black metal styles and a more melodic and unusual approach to songwriting that I wasn't quite as familiar with as compared to other bands, for example, Clandestine Blaze and Deathspell Omega. Now, I've got some more material from Magua here, and this is actually some of their early material. This combines 2 early releases called Mydlowski and Further Down the Nest. Now, I believe that title is in Polish, so I'm probably butchering it, but regardless, I want to hear what this band's early material is like, and how it maybe differs or is similar to their later style. And last from Magua, I do have the Presence release here as well, more early material. Haven't heard anything off of this, just like the other album I just showed you there. But I do really want to hear it, and I'm very, very curious about it. I'm expecting good things from it. The last band I have here to show you guys material from is Exordium. Now, if you viewed my video for the Holy Spirit disc of Crushing the Holy Trinity and my review of that material, I did note that I did enjoy Exordium's stuff, but they were probably my least favorite off of the compilation. Regardless, they were still good enough to warrant me purchasing and investigating more of their material. So with that, this is the band's first LP, and so far only to date, called In Wrath Principle. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this album was released in 2008, and so far is the band's only full-length release, which is unfortunate. I mean, I wish they would come out with more material. But in the meantime, I have this to listen to. The band uses some very aggressive styles, and has a very in-your-face attitude with their black metal style. So they're a bit different from other bands that I listen to in the fact that they're not quite as melodic as maybe other bands I like, such as Sargeist or Horna, or bands like that. But I'm very interested in hearing what the band has to offer, and to see what my response to that music is going to be. And last but not least, this is Exordium's self-titled mini-CD, which I believe contains 4 tracks. I'm not too familiar with what's on here. I don't know much about it. And let's just say the cover doesn't really give a whole lot of insight into anything. If you look at the back, you can sort of make out the band's logo up here, but it's really hard to see. So it's something I'm not too familiar with, really, and I'm really intrigued to know more about the band and so on. So overall, I'd really like to know more about Exordium and see what they have to offer. Thanks a lot for watching this video. My apologies for being a bit sick right now. This is the best I can do under these circumstances. Thank you all, and goodbye.